All right, it is, folks, Tuesday, episode 61, which is crazy. Hold on one second. Which is crazy because, hold on. There we go. Sorry, I'm just trying to, if you hear any crackling, rattling, I'm obviously moving around my microphone. It's crazy we've already hit 61 episodes. I don't know why this is bugging me. Hold on. You got to get in frame, but I got to get in frame a certain way. There we go. It's crazy that it's already been 61 episodes. And it makes me wonder, like, if I was being able to upload consistently, how many would I have done by now? I mean, we're already at 61, episode 61. So it makes me wonder if I had a set schedule that I was able to abide to weekly, where would we be right now? I would love to know. But anyway, folks, it is Tuesday, early in the week. Hopefully your guys' start to the week are going well. It's good to be back here behind the microphone. And I thank every one of you for tuning in, taking the time out of your days, out of your evenings to listen to what I have to say, even though I'm probably viewed as some irrelevant, which is fine. But nonetheless, I really appreciate it. I really do. If I could thank each and every one of you for every time you view the show, I honestly would. If you guys have not hit the subscribe, please do so because it just really helps grow the channel. I'm just trying to keep reaching as many sport fans as we can. It's a process. I feel like YouTube doesn't push my videos. But nonetheless, I mean, it's not like I'm on here and I'm uploading constantly or anything like that. I can't do that. But anyway, what I want to talk about, it was a big weekend, as this time of year always is. The NFL Draft starting Thursday, taking place till Saturday. And it's always, I think all of us as football fans, one of the best times of the year. And it was great to see the hundreds and thousands of people in Vegas. You truly love to see it. And this year's draft, as I kind of talked about it in a previous episode, there was no really set in stone number one pick. There was really no quote-unquote superstar or superstars in the draft this year through college. So it was a lot different. It was just kind of one, and we've had drafts like that. But I think the big takeaway is seeing how many receivers came off the board in this draft and the amount of trades that happened. I mean, it was honestly pretty wild. We had A.J. Brown getting traded to Philadelphia. We had Marquise Brown getting traded from the Ravens to Arizona. We had multiple trade-up, trade-downs. It was very interesting. And I actually enjoyed the draft through and through. Now, I'm not going to be on here. I'm not here to dissect the draft. I'm here as a Steeler fan to talk about their draft. So, if you don't really care, I understand. If you're a Steeler fan, a Pittsburgh fan, then this is a video for you. Or even if you're not and you want to listen to what I have to say, by all means, you're most welcome to be here. But that's what I wanted to come on today. I really wanted to go into their draft. I don't want to make this video too long. I'm not going to overanalyze things. But kicking off, going into this draft for the Steelers, it was, I think, they were a favorite team to pick a quarterback. I think it was highly evident through the pre-draft process, through the combine. The Steelers spent so much time with these guys, and it seems like if they wouldn't have picked a quarterback that was available to them, that seems like that would have been a waste of everybody's time. I've seen a lot of Steeler fans kind of favor a quarterback, seen a lot of Steeler fans wanting them to pass on a quarterback this year, which I understand because you have a lot more meat on the bone in next year's class. But the thing is, if a team loves a certain guy, you take him. You take him, and as a fan, you obviously want it to work out. Now, I was completely fine with them taking a quarterback if that's the direction they wanted to go. They definitely needed someone. They did sign Trubisky, but obviously I was like, hey, if they really like somebody, go do it. Let them battle it out. There you go. And they did. And they took Kenny Pickett in the first round, Pittsburgh's QB the last 5 years. And I think there was a lot of mixed reaction. And I don't think it was mixed reaction in the sense of people who don't like Kenny Pickett. I think it was mixed reaction in the sense of like them, again, not wanting to take a quarterback and wanting them to go a different direction and try to really help build around Trubisky for this year. Which I understand that. At the same time, you got to understand if they love somebody, they're going to take the guy. Kenny Pickett was the most polished quarterback coming into this year, ready to play. And yes, Kenny Pickett, he 5-year quarterback. Throughout his first few years starting, he was really average. That's really what he was. And going into last year's season, he obviously finished as a Heisman finalist. Threw for 44 touchdowns or something like that, 7 interceptions, broke tons of records, and just had an absolutely phenomenal year. And you can look at it two ways, but I like to look at it as like, hey, if you're really blossoming at the end of your college career, like that's what you want. Because that's the direction you're heading. You're learning a lot. You've obviously have grown a lot, and you're putting a lot of things into place, into practice, into use, and you're seeing all that flourish. So, as I said, regardless of what quarterback they took, I was fine with it. I trust their process. They're a great team at drafting, developing players. I trust them over Twitter GMs, folks. I don't know about you. I sit and laugh over the people who on Twitter think that they know more than what Tomlin and Colbert and company do. It's fine to not like a pick. It's fine to give your opinion. But if you're going to crap on the pick because they didn't select a guy you wanted, I don't really know what to tell you. I think it's like, okay, you don't have to like the pick, but at the same time, you want the guy to do well. You're rooting for him. You kind of start to maybe dig a little deeper into the guys and start to kind of see the good things about them. It was kind of like with me with Terrell Edmunds. When Terrell Edmunds was drafted in 2018, I was not expecting that, number one. I had no idea who he was. And obviously, I didn't like the pick because from everything that you've seen, that you read, the guy was nowhere near a first-round graded type guy. But clearly, they liked him. And so it was like, okay, I don't know who this guy was. I don't think anybody thought this guy was viewed as a first-round pick. Clearly, they like him. Hopefully, he does well. We'll wait and see. But I'd like to see him go a different direction. And if that's your mindset with this year's pick, of them taking Pickett, that's fine. But if you're going to just write off the pick and think and just say the Steelers are going to regret this, this guy isn't going to be good, I don't know what to tell you. He hasn't played a single snap. And I've done that with multiple picks over the years. This was a time, probably the first time ever, where I would not have minded, regardless of what direction the Steelers went. If they wanted to go O-line, if there was somebody they liked there at 20, great. Wide receiver, great. Defensive player, great. A quarterback, great. Because this is just kind of the transition they're in. So I simply didn't care what direction they went. But the thing that's annoying is is fans or people already writing off this pick. And the thing with Kenny Pickett is this guy played his whole college career at Heintz Field. This guy shared the same exact facility as the Steelers. Pitt's door and the Steelers' door to their facility is just 12 feet apart. The Steelers know Kenny Pickett like the back of their hand. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. This is a best-case scenario for them. For Kenny Pickett, this was the best-case scenario for him. For the Steelers, obviously it was like, okay, who they like the most, but the thing is, they know Kenny Pickett better than any other quarterback. And clearly there's a lot they like about him, and rightfully so. There should be a lot of things that every Steeler fan likes about the guy. Kenny Pickett's got good size. He's got mobility. He can move around. He's a really good passer on the run. He's got accuracy. Yes, his arm isn't the strongest out there, but you can always even get stronger in that area. I think he's got good leadership. He's got great character. I think he's got great poise. And sure, there's a lot of other things he can work on I can go into. But I think when you put really his traits, what he's capable of doing, and I think as well when you put the Steelers roster that they currently have around him, it's a great situation. The Steelers have a Super Bowl caliber of a defense already set in place. The offensive line, yes, offensive line is obviously, when you look at the team, the biggest concern. But they added a little bit in free agency, which you wanted to see, and they got really good playmakers offensively. So the Steelers have done everything that they've could this offseason to set him up for success, or Trubisky, who's ever starting. But nonetheless, I'm fine with the pick. As I said, I was fine with whatever direction they went. I like what Kenny Pickett has and what he has to offer. I think the Steelers are really going to work well with him. Like I said, it's a great situation, especially because of this is where he's homegrown through and through. And I think it was fine. And so for the people who didn't like it, that's fine. That's your opinion. No problem. But don't write the pick off. What if Kenny Pickett turns out to be a really solid quarterback? I mean, you're a Steeler fan, for God's sake. I mean, what the heck? It's fine if you didn't like the pick. It's fine if you weren't a fan of it. But don't write it off. So anyway, I really thought they were going to go Malik Willis. But Malik Willis dropped all the way to the third round. And that's all you have to know about how teams view him. Project doesn't have enough there worthy of taking a first-round pick on. But if you're able to get him at a valuable pick, then great. And Tennessee took him in the third round, early on in the third round. Tannehill's 1 year under contract, and Willis can sit a little bit. But the Steelers, I think a lot of people thought it was going to be Willis, just simply because of how much they've talked about him and everything that's been shown. And maybe a lot of it was smokescreen. I know Kevin Colbert said he thought the Saints were going to take him. They tried to trade up to 15, but it worked in their favor. I think the Steelers had a home run of a draft. I really do. I'm not sitting here saying they had the best draft out of everybody, but if I had to give them a draft grade, I probably would have given them about an A- of a draft, an A. I think they did. I think Kevin Colbert did a great job in his final draft as general manager. He's still going to stick around. He's still going to be a part of the organization, probably do some scouting still. He's a great scout. And there's no doubt in my mind that the Steelers already ready to be GM was already in that draft room. There's no doubt in my mind. And that's going to be Omar Khan or Brandon Hunt. But I thought they did. I'm fine with the Kenny Pickett pick. I like a lot of his traits he has. Like I said, I think this is a best case scenario for them getting a quarterback and for him because of everything that I've mentioned. In the second round, they took George Pickens. And I was thrilled about this. I think every Steeler fan was thrilled about this. George Pickens obviously had the injury last year. He's had some character issues, and I think maybe because of that is why teams kind of let him slide. But he's got first-round talent. If he never got hurt, he probably would have been a first-round pick. And the fact that he fell right in the Steelers' lap is perfect. Again, this is a perfect scenario. The Steelers are the best team in the NFL at finding wide receivers in the draft. They're the best team in the NFL at developing wide receivers. And this is just a match made in heaven, I think, for both sides. Now, the George Pickens character issues, I still think it's a great situation for him because you got a guy like Mike Tomlin who really helps keep his players grounded. And you can be like, oh, well, what about AB and Bell? And that's them. That's their ego. Tomlin can't babysit them. But when you look at everything, it makes you, when you look back at the years in and out, it makes you wonder, how the heck did this guy keep these guys under control? When you look at every player that has left Pittsburgh, it's nothing but respect for that franchise, for Tomlin. Tomlin is a phenomenal coach. He's a great leader. But the thing is with him, too, he resonates so much with these players as people. And I think with a guy like Pickens, who, if he needs some maturity help, if he has some maturity problems, I think being in an organization like the Steelers and being under Coach Tomlin and guys like that, I think is going to bode well for him. But the sky's the limit for him. He's got great size, great speed. He's got phenomenal hands. I believe he only dropped 2 passes in his college career. Honestly, this is a great pick. And I think this was their best pick of the whole draft. Going into round 3, they took DeMarvin Leal, defensive tackle. It's funny, I believe this guy was a projected top 10 pick going into the college season last year. I'm not really quite sure why he slid to the 3rd round, but I think they get really good value out of him. I don't know a ton about the guy, but he's a guy that can rack up some sacks. He's a guy that has some athleticism to him at the defensive tackle spot. And with Alu coming back and assumedly Stephon Tuitt, he can definitely get some snaps and kind of balance things out with Tyson. But it's definitely great value in the third round. And then in the fourth round, they took Calvin Austin, the third wide receiver out of Memphis. I honestly didn't know who he was, but he's 5'9". He runs like a borderline 4.3. And I guess the Ravens wanted him at their pick, but the Steelers took him. But the Ravens could have had him, but they wanted a punter in the fourth round. They had like 6 fourth-round picks. But again, this is a guy as well that's going to add to that wide receiver group that the Steelers needed. With the departure of Juju and James Washington, Ray McLeod, it was bound to happen. They were going to at least take a couple wide receivers in the draft. You have a guy like Deontay Johnson, who has flourished each and every year. Chase Claypool, who had a great rookie year, a very down last year. He definitely needs to kind of mature more and grow up. But with Claypool, the traits and the talent is there to be a really great wide receiver. George Pickens, sky's the limit for that guy. Calvin Austin, you kind of get a change of pace there a little bit, a little different of a balance there in your receiving group, which I think you needed. The Steelers needed a burner. And I think as well what this guy can do in motions and jet sweeps, things like that Matt Canada likes to do in his offense, I think that he's a perfect fit in the sense of as well what they're looking for their offensive scheme. Didn't have a pick in the 5th round. They did take Connor Hayward, Cameron Hayward's brother out of Michigan State, play some fullback, some halfback. He can catch a little bit. It's going to be interesting to see what they do with him and Derek Watt. Are they going to cut Derek Watt? How are they going to utilize Connor Hayward? We know the Steelers don't utilize the fullback position at all, but maybe they might try to get a little creative with a guy like that. And they also took, who else they take in the 6th round? They took linebacker Mark Robinson. I believe that's his name, out of Ole Miss. Had a lot of tackles, I believe. I forget why it was that he kind of slid a little bit in the 6th round, but they're still getting some talent there, some untapped potential there to add to their inside linebacking group. And then they took another quarterback in the 7th round. I believe his name's Chris Oladuncan, something like that, out of South Dakota State. And I don't care. Like, look, this Steelers took him, be an extra body in camp. They like his mobility. That's really what it is. I'm sure he'll probably be on the practice squad or something like that. But clearly they like certain traits that he has to kind of come in and be another guy there at camp. Because they wanted 4 quarterbacks, and obviously with the passing of the late Dwayne Haskins, today actually would have been his 25th birthday, which is sad. So obviously thinking of his family, his friends, his loved ones. But nonetheless, they wanted 4 quarterbacks going into camp, and that was their draft. And honestly, like I said, I love the George Pickens pick. I think that was their best pick. Kenny Pickett, I was completely fine with that pick. I really like the pick as well with him, no pun intended, for various reasons. For various reasons. And like I said, the defensive tackle, Leal, I think really what is there, like I said, I'm not sure why he was dropping, but what's there, what he's capable of doing, the upside, I think that's too good to pass on. The first 4 rounds, I think, were great picks, 100%. And then as you get in the later rounds, you just kind of look at some value at those positions, some guys that, you hope can add some depth to whatever position you're looking at. But the thing is also, the Steelers did not address cornerback in this draft, which was, I think some people were thinking they were going to. They did sign DeMonte Kazi in free agency. If you are familiar with his name, he played for the Atlanta Falcons, played for Dallas. He had 7 interceptions in 2018. I believe he's got like 14 picks over his career. He's a guy that can play a little bit in the slot. He can give you some help, some leverage in safety. And I think really what the Steelers like to do defensively, he's a guy as well that is there as a third type of guy. Trey Norwood obviously is there as well. So that definitely really helps strengthen their secondary. So even though they didn't really address that, they kind of did there in free agency a little bit. I would be all for, I've seen a lot of fans clamoring for Joe Hayden to come back. I would be all for them re-signing Joe Hayden, bringing him back into the fold in the secondary as well. And you got, I think where they stand right now with their secondary, it's strong. You don't have like this superstar cornerback, but they have solid corners with bringing in Levi Wallace. Cam Sutton balled out last year. Ahkello Witherspoon, for all the opportunity he was given last year, absolutely shined. 3 corners there. You bring in a guy like DeMonte Kazi, who you can move around. Minka, obviously an all-pro. Terrell Edmonds, who they brought back on a 1-year, $2.5 million deal. And he's just kind of an average safety, but I mean, he's gotten better by the year. I think their secondaries, it's a little more stronger, I think it was last year. You bring a guy like Joe Hayden back as well. You add to it. Obviously, Trey Norwood had a lot of an impact as well as a 7th-round pick last year. So, I love their draft. I think this was their best draft since 2017 when they got TJ Watt, Juju, and James Conner all in the same draft. But let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments. Let me know your guys' thoughts about the Steelers draft, how you think Kenny Pickett's going to be, who was your favorite pick in the draft. But it's going to be really weird. And honestly, us as Steeler fans, when you look back at Kevin Colbert's tenure over since 2002, since 2003, whatever year, let me look. I want to go over his first-round picks as GM. Okay. Let's look. Let me see. Can I find one? Give me 1 second. I know it's a little silent here. All right, hold on. I just got to look it up real quick. All right, here we go. So we're going to start all the way at, I believe when he started was 2000. I think he started 2003, 2002. Okay, we're going to start at, or no, I think he started earlier than that. I think he started back in 2000. So Plaxico Burress, Casey Hampton, 2001, 2000, 2001. Kendall Simmons, who was guard in 02, Troy Polamalu in 03, Big Ben 04, Heath Miller 05, Holmes 06, Lawrence Timmons 07, Mendenhall 08, Ziggy Hood 09, Pouncey 2010, Hayward 2011, DeCastro 2012, Jarvis Jones 13, Shazier 14, Dupree 15, Burns 16, TJ Watt 17, Edmonds 18, Bush 19, didn't have one 2020, Najee Harris 21, and then Kenny Pickett. When you look back since 2000, under the reign of Kevin Colbert, Plaxico Burress, Plaxico Burress. And obviously he kind of got into crap as well that kind of, deteriorated his career. But still, he was a beast. Casey Hampton. Huge part of their Super Bowl defenses. Phenomenal defensive tackle. Troy Polamalu, one of the best of all time. Big Ben, one of the best of all time. Heath Miller, a very staple there at tight end. Santonio Holmes. We know the plays he's made. Lawrence Timmons, who is always a very underrated inside linebacker in the NFL. Always consistent, always reliable. Rashard Mendenhall, 08. Obviously, when you look at a first-round pick, he didn't really embody a first-round pick, but he still played 5 years here. Got to Super Bowl with them. He was decent. Ziggy Hood in 09 obviously was a failure. Marquise Pouncey in 2010. He was obviously one of the best centers in the NFL during his time. Cameron Hayward in 2011, multiple-time All-Pro. He just gets better as he ages. On track to a Hall of Fame career. David Castro in 2012 was one of the best offensive linemen, interior offensive linemen in the NFL in his tenure. Jarvis Jones was a failure in 13. Ryan Shazier in 14 was on his way to being one of the best inside linebackers. Well, he already kind of was, but he definitely would have all-pro potential. Bud Dupree in 15 took him a little bit of time, but he did flourish there a little bit. Burns was a failure. TJ Watt obviously is going to go down as an all-time great. Terrell Edmonds in 2018, I mean, he's kind of so-so. Devin Bush, great rookie year. Had a good year till he tore his ACL in 2020. And last year, obviously not a good season. Harris obviously is very promising. And then you got Kenny Pickett as well. Look at all those picks, man. Look at all those first-round hits since 2000 under the regime of Kevin Colbert. That's all I got to tell you. And us as Steeler fans, I feel like all of us as Steeler fans, man, this is what makes me proud to be a Steeler fan. Okay? Competitive every year. Always have a competitive mindset. obviously, yes, they're one of the greatest sports organizations of all time. But the structure, stability, the class, right? You have things to look forward to every year. Development of players, how they treat players. It's unbelievable. And I think every Steeler fan should always be proud to be that. And Kevin Colbert's definitely going to be missed when he retires. And his influence isn't really there, but he's still going to be there, if that makes sense. So we'll kind of see really what role he ultimately ends up being in. But as you're a Steeler fan, you got to really be appreciative of the work of what this franchise embodies and everything that they do. Because I mentioned this just a few days ago to somebody. I was like, imagine being like a Lions fan. Year in and year out, what do you have to look forward to as a Lions fan? They can't get things right. They can't develop guys. They go through coach by coach, even when they had Stafford. Franchise can't get anything right. Like, what do you have to look forward to? I know you made the playoffs in 2014 and 2016, but really, what do you have to look forward to? You don't. Any organization like that. So, it really, when you look at it from that point of view as well, you should always be appreciative. And obviously, fans, I think a lot of Steelers fans are spoiled. There's obviously a lot of expectations. It's a lot different than a lot of other teams. But still, be thankful, be appreciative. And especially after this draft, hopefully we can look back at it and be like, that was an unbelievable hit by Kevin Colbert and company and everybody like that. But I'm really excited to see how these draft picks go. And usually, once you kind of start hitting year 3 with these guys, you can kind of look back and be like, okay, really can kind of grade one. I don't like to really grade drafts necessarily, but usually when they end, if you just kind of take it by what it is, like I said, I think they hit a home run. I think they're one of the best teams. I think they had one of the best drafts as well, along with multiple other teams I can sit here and name. But what's going to be interesting, obviously what's going to be the main thing going into camp is the quarterback competition between Trubisky and Kenny Pickett. That's going to be the most interesting thing this summer. I'm very excited as well as you kind of start as you see these rookie guys. But I'm another thing as well, aside from quarterback competition, who's going to be starting week 1. I'm excited to see this defense, man. The Steelers defense, we know, did not live up to expectations last year. We know that there were major issues with their run defense. A lot of it had to do with no Stephon Tuitt all year, Tyson Alualu shattering his ankle, the home opener, and they just could not get anybody to really make plays there at stopping that. Now, they had some guys like a Wormley, Martravius Adams, Loudermilk make some good things as they were in, but as a collective unit, it just was not good. They got no help at inside linebacker with Bush and Schobert, who is not good. Secondary, like I said, I thought Cameron Sutton had a lot of great plays last year. Witherspoon, Fitzpatrick, you can sit here and say, people can sit here and say he didn't have that good of a year. What do you expect when you can't stop a run and you got to have a guy like Minkah Fitzpatrick chase everybody down? Honestly, what do you expect? So, with Tuitt, assumably coming back, Alualu being back, they get Leal in the draft, who's going to help there. They still have some good depth there with Wormley, Loudermilk, guys like that. You bring in a guy like Miles Jack, who's an athletic freak, who definitely should be a great presence there at inside. Devin Bush, finally having a full year of recovery from ACL time. We'll really see how he steps up, especially with Flores and Miles Jack. I mean, hopefully he can feed off those guys. You got, obviously, TJ Watt, the reigning Defense Player of the Year. Alex Highsmith as well, who is getting better by the year. I still think, you got a strong secondary. You improved it a little bit in the offseason. So I think aside from really seeing the quarterback battle, I'm excited to really kind of see how the offense takes shape with this really revamped offense. I mean, it's obviously overhauled from last year. And like I said, few I thought important additions to the O-line in free agency. But I'm excited to see the defense take shape, man, and kind of get back to where they were in 19 and 2020, and that's what I hope for. But let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments about the Steelers draft. I was very happy about it. I'm excited to see these guys get to work, and it will be a very fun offseason. I think there's a lot of things to look forward to as a Steeler fan this season, man. And the Steelers, regardless, they're always, we know this, they're always competitive. They're always in it one way or another. But it's a tough division, but I like where they stand. I think they got a really nice roster, I think, as well, from what they have offensively. There's a lot of potential, not just this year, but even going forward. And again, they'll be right in there. They'll be in the mix. They'll be competitive. They'll be vying for a playoff spot for the division with the rest of the teams there. So it's going to make for very interesting AFC North. A very big battle, man. The AFC North and AFC West all got better. The AFC as a whole got a lot better. So it's going to be a race. It's going to be a battle. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to make for great entertainment, great games, great TV. Or if you go to the games, great atmosphere. But I'm excited for it, man. I'm sure everybody else is as well. But let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments. And what is today? Tuesday. NHL playoffs starting today. Thank God, finally. Or they started yesterday, really. But, I mean, unbelievable. You got to shorten the season. My God. You got to shorten the NHL season, dude. It's absolutely ridiculous that it is the beginning of May and the playoffs are just starting. Fix it. Fix it. We'll see how the Penguins do. I'll be on here. I'll be talking more NBA playoffs, some NHL playoffs as well as it continues to go on as we're officially in round 2 of the NBA playoffs. Suns won last night. Bucks have a 1-0 lead over the Celtics. The Heat have a 1-0 lead over Philadelphia. So Celtics-Bucks tonight. Warriors-Grizzlies tonight, where the Warriors have a 1-0 lead over Memphis. Should be interesting, man. It really should be. I think that Warriors-Grizzlies matchup is going to be a lot of fun. And I also think that I like the Heat-Sixers matchup. It sucks with Embiid and his injury issues. But I think if he can come back, that can definitely maybe, keep it competitive. I think the Suns and Mavericks, the Suns are just head over heels better. And then the Celtics and Bucks, that could be another one. That could go the distance a little bit. I think the Grizzlies-Warriors could go the distance a little bit. I think both teams match up well. We will see, guys, but that's tonight. Bucks, Celtics, Grizzlies-Warriors tonight. We'll see what happens. But we'll be back with some more content later in the week, folks. Thank you all for tuning in, and have a good rest of your week. We'll see you later.